If your doubts are causing procrastination, imposter syndrome, confusion, you're just throwing things on the walls and trying to see what sticks, then this is for you. We're going to help you to detach from your doubts today. Hi. If you need to meet, my name is Raquel, and I'm your GPS for success. So, what happens is that when you are having all these doubts, a lot of things can trigger actions that are actually not giving you what you want. And then you're like in this loop, right? You have more imposter syndrome. You'll start doing a bunch of actions trying to see what's going to change the situation. That you might be feeling a lot of confusion. And then that might make you then doubt a lot of things, not only if you're made for whatever it is that you're trying to do, or maybe you're dating, you're like, okay, then I don't know if I should stay with this person, not stay with this person. Should I date? Should I stay single? There's a lot of things that happens when we start to feed our doubts. And so the first thing I want to tell you is that nothing has gone wrong. You mean I'm not broken? Nope. You're not broken. You mean there's nothing wrong with me? Nope. There's nothing wrong with you. You are beautifully and wonderfully made. This is day 10 of 21, where I'm helping Jesus lovers really reconcile manifestation practices. And even if you're not a Jesus lover and you're just a Jesus appreciator, then this is still going to work for you, because this is true. Nothing has gone wrong. Then why am I doubting? I'm trying to stay in faith. I'm trying to stay positive. And it's just like, yeah, sometimes there's, and I've been a victim of toxic positivity. I've talked about that before. It actually led me to almost myself 4 different times. And so I understand being in doubt. And this is what I do with my clients. I've had so many wonderful testimonials from my One Breakthrough Now coaching session. And this is the thing that I take them through. And then I might do a modality with them afterwards to help to really root in and keep their freedom. But I'm going to take you through the process that I take my clients through. And if you're interested in having a session with me right now, I'm having a BOGO special. And what is that? You're going to have the One Breakthrough Now session. I'll also link it in the description below, or it might be above, depending on where you're seeing this. But you have a session with me. I'll take you through this, and I might do another modality to help you keep your freedom. And then when you do that, you also are going to have access to the society. And the society is my membership. With the society, one of the perks, remember that old commercial? It pays to be a member. Membership is $97 a month, but so is this particular breakthrough session for you as well. And so that's the BOGO. It's really a buy one, get one free. And with the membership, you get 24/7 coaching through text. And so if you're interested in having me available to you for 30 days, getting all the thousands of dollars worth of resources there, and having a breakthrough session with me, then you know what to do. Okay. But I'm going to take you through the process so you can start doing this by yourself if you want to do it by yourself. Yes. I'm not gatekeeping. I'm just very good at pinpointing what the actual thought is. Because a lot of times what happens is that there's a lot of thoughts happening, and then you can't find which is the one that's actually the trigger. But you can do this process. And so the first thing is understanding that nothing has gone wrong. Your brain has just been regurgitating the thoughts that you've been having the last 60 or 90 days. That's it. That's it. You mean it's that simple? Yes. You are one thought away from everything that you want, from a complete change in your situation. You're just one thought away. Everything that you are doing, it has its origin in the thoughts. That's it. And so when a circumstance comes up, this is what's happening. A circumstance comes up, and then for the most part is neutral. Not all circumstances are neutral, because, sometimes people do physical or high emotional harm to you, right? But for the most part, think of the circumstances as it is what it is. Then we take a thought about it. And when we take a thought about it, what is then happening from your beautiful mind and your amazing AI body. Well, then your brain says, your brain is your drug dealer or your medicine man. You can go into chemical chaos or chemical bliss. And your thoughts will start to, as you're holding on to it, right? Start to create thought clusters. It could just be one or two thoughts back to back. You had a thought about that circumstance, and now you pause, and then you're thinking, I'm going to do something with this thought. You might not be aware that you're thinking that, but that's actually what's happening. And what's happening? Am I going to entertain this thought or not? Either you're going to be like, hey, that's not true, or I'm not even going to think about that. That's not even bothering me. Or you're going to be like, ooh, and then start to have thoughts. Those thoughts have a chemical signature. That chemical signature starts to release the match. And since we are wired for love, we're wired for it, we learn fear. And so we have two different systems. Think of it like two different masters in us. We have one where we're wired, our default is love. And then we have fear, which is learned. Fear is learned. We didn't come up with that. We only came in with the fear of falling and sudden noise, which makes sense because you're a baby. And if you hear a noise, you came in with, and it was to protect you. Every other fear, worry, anxiety, doubt is learned behavior. Your behavior is coming out of your identity. You are never going to go any further than how you see and feel about yourself, which is why, as an entrepreneur, I have a lot of entrepreneurs or high achieving women, you might achieve something, whether it's a breakthrough in your business, you finally got the promotion, you finally got the man, you finally had the kid, whatever it is that you want to. I work with primarily women, but I do have a few men that I work with from time to time. You have this thing, and then you can't hold on to it because of the doubts, because of how you're seeing yourself. It's an identity issue. It's a perception issue. It's not the circumstance. The circumstance, for the most part, like I said, is neutral. It is what it is. Then you take a thought about it. What are the thoughts that you're having? Some of these thoughts you've been having for so long, it feels normal. You don't even question them. And there is no such thing as a harmless thought. I learned that from neuroscientist Dr. Caroline Leaf. There is no such thing as a harmless thought. Every thought, it's either going to, right? Because what does the good book say? Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and you will eat the fruit thereof, death or life. You're always eating the fruit of it. How? The words matter because they become matter. Physically, first in your brain, and then out here. Because as you are in Joshua 1:8, God tells us to meditate on the word day and night, and so you will find success. In that phrase, the word meditate is Haggah. One of the definitions of Haggah is, and I might be saying it wrong, but Haggah, I think, is mutter to yourself. What is muttering to yourself? You're talking out loud. You're using words. You're muttering to yourself in here. You're using the thoughts. You're muttering. The other definition of that is imagination. You start to mutter, that kicks off an imagination. And the imagination is a commercial for your future. So as you are thinking, right, you have a circumstance, you have a thought about it, you choose to entertain that thought because it's a choice. You might not think it's a choice, but you have a choice. You didn't have a choice as a child from like 0 to 7 because you were in theta. You were in record mode. You were believing all the suggestions coming into your world. you're being literally hypnotized. We're always going into some form of hypnosis because hypnosis and meditation is very similar. And so from 0 to 7, you were in record. You didn't have the tools to be able to discern, do I want that belief system or not? You were just a sponge soaking everything in, and it was becoming part of your belief system. And that belief system starts to become part of your identity. And then from 7 to 13, by the time you're 13, your personality is formed. And your personality is your personal reality. But your personality can change. And we've seen people's personalities change. You've seen it when people have had something terrible happen to them and they're not themselves at all. Their whole personality changed. Or vice versa, where they're maybe honorary and then they get this encounter with the love God, the God that is good and pure and perfect, and everything about them is just, they look happier, they're in joy, they're at peace, they're a completely different person. And even if you're one way when you're 13, life happens, it can change your personality. So you have the circumstance, everything's all tied together. I'm giving you foundation. And then you have a thought about it. Those thoughts are now creating a chemical signature. It kicks in emotion. And then emotion then causes an action or non-action. So you think you have a procrastination issue. You don't. You don't. You have a thought. You have a perception issue, a thought issue. And so you think that having all these doubts, the fear, the worries, anxieties, like there's something wrong with you. There isn't. You're normal. So write down your circumstance and then write down the thoughts that you're having. Write down the feelings that you're having. Write down the actions that you've been doing and the results that you've been getting. It's really important for you to journal it and slow down to write it so that you can see the pattern. And then what? What is not confronted is not changed. This is why toxic positivity is dangerous for you, because it'll keep you in a loop. Your brain is just reaching for the easiest thoughts that it can grab to feed it to you. If you ask it a question, this is your inner AI. Like all AIs, you're going to be getting an output, but the output is determined by the kind of question you're asking, how you are formulating it. If you say something like, I don't know why I'm doubting myself, right? These I statements, then your brain is like, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is why you're doubting yourself, and this is why you should doubt yourself. See, that wasn't a good question. The better question is, why shouldn't I? If you ask, why shouldn't I doubt myself? Why should I move forward? What are the reasons I should? Or let's say the question is for an entrepreneur, they're like, I don't know, should I keep on doing this or not? I really want to keep doing this though. I really love what I'm doing. I just don't know how to make money doing it. I did talk about how to monetize your reason for being during this season, so you can find that video. And maybe the question would be, what are all the ways this can work? Right? Because now you're giving your brain something else to think about and to find. What are all the reasons this can work? What are all the reasons this will work? Give it something different to do. You need to be able to see the thoughts that you're having without judgment. There's no judgment here. Your thought is a thing, and you get to choose to entertain it or not. And you might have a habit of thinking negatively. You might have a habit and that's why, like, having this cha-cha, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, throwing the spaghetti on the wall, seeing if it sticks, procrastinating, having imposter syndrome, feeling like you can't do it, being scattered, your heart is divided, you don't know what to do, you're confused. Yes. But doing this process of looking at the circumstance that triggered that thought, writing down the thoughts, writing down your feelings, writing down the actions you were taking, the results that were happening, then saying, wait, I can take a new thought. Yes, it's as simple as that. Why is it simple? Because God loves you. This is grace. This is mercy. It's how you're wired to succeed. And so you are one embedded thought away from what you want. So if a thought was coming like, I can't do this, I'm not made for this, I'm not equipped for this, I'm not ready for this yet because I need all these other things before I can move forward, you can choose a different thought. Are your emotions going to change immediately? Well, when you work with me, 100% of the people have had a breakthrough. 100%. My results are typical. They're typical. Every single person that I've met with, every single person I do this with has had their breakthrough. And you can have your own right now. You don't have to wait to book with me. You can do it yourself, but if you want help, you know what to do. You're only a thought away. That's it. And how do you embed it? Process. I talked about that yesterday. Is the dreaded P word. Process. If your brain is only offering you what you've been muttering, or here, the last 60 to 90 days, give it something else to mutter on so that when you get a circumstance, the new thought comes up. It actually doesn't have to take 60 to 90 days. For most people, it does because you're doing something new. But even if you do the work for 21 days, and what is the work? I call it the 1% model. You're investing in yourself 1% or less. That's it. You can embed a new thought. So what is happening? What I was talking about earlier, that it becomes matter first in your brain. So as you are thinking, you are now creating neural pathways and you're creating grooves. And when you're thinking doubts, worries, fears, anxieties, what is actually happening? You are causing brain damage. And maybe that's a thought you need to take because that's what the neuroscientists say. You're causing brain damage when you are muttering, imagining those negative thoughts. You can start reversing the brain damage. So the thoughts, think of them like they look like these, the neuroscientists call it the trees of the mind. And they look like little trees, little grooves of trees etching on your brain. You can choose that they're going to be trees of life or they're going to bring you a death cycle, destruction, doubt, worry, fear, anxiety. And because you're in fear, doubt, worry, fear, anxiety, you're going to then act with that system in place. And that's why your results are not happening. And if they do, it's like a constant struggle of keeping it. It's like, oh, I caught you. It's like, tag, you're it. I caught you. And now it slips through your fingers. This is work that I can't, you're grown up. You can do what you want. You're grown. But if you will invest in yourself 1% of your day, you will find success. In the New Testament as well, we see the perfect equation. It's a perfect equation. God makes it so easy for us. You will prosper and be in health as your soul, which is your mind. Your will and your emotions prosper. A lot of times people want to jump to the emotions. I just want to fix my emotions. I want to manifest through my emotions. I need to be feeling into it. That's actually, you can do it that way, but it's harder. You can't sustain it because we're not created to sustain it that way. We're created to sustain it through our mindset. You are one thought away from everything that you want. What is a thought you will take? And yes, you might feel foolish. You might feel like you're just convincing yourself. You might feel as though it's not working at first. But anything you're starting in a new habit, the first 3 or 4 days suck because you're doing something new. And that's normal. This is why in this society you have me 24/7. So that way when you're getting into your head and you're muttering to yourself, here, and now you've kicked off chemical chaos, I help you to come back to chemical bliss, come center you back. So that way you can go, and from the emotionally regulated place, now the inspired actions that come will be chef's kiss. It'll be right on target. But you can do this for anything. What are the circumstances? What's the circumstance that kicked off the thought? What are you actually thinking? What are you feeling about yourself? What are the actions that have been taken? What are the results that have been happening? What is the thought that you can take? And if you don't know, then borrow one of my thoughts. You are beautifully and wonderfully made. You are made on purpose for a purpose. That's why you're here. I'm made for this. That could be your thought. I'm made for this. Like, I know I am made for this. I know without a shadow of a doubt, I am made to help people get their mind right. I know that that goes right back to meditation. Things have become so clear. We're constantly meditating because that is how we're wired to succeed. We are wired to meditate. And we're doing it all the time by default. Every time you're scrolling and you lose track of time, you go, you Netflix, you binge watch, you start going into self-hypnosis because you're relaxed. That's one of the keys to suggestions is relaxation. And when you are relaxed, you need to be more mindful when you're relaxed of what you're allowing to come in through your eye gate and ear gate, because it's feeding you suggestions. You are what you eat. A lot of people that I've met, they're overly concerned. I love you, but you're overly concerned about what you put in your mouth. You are better off eating that cake or having that taco, eating that meat, having those Doritos. And you're better off eating that because it's actually the mind. It is not what goes into your mouth that defiles you. It's what comes out of it. And your mindset is actually what's keeping you healthy. That's actually the path to a lot of people. Like, I want to be ascended. I want to, I'm in this ascended, this is ascended being, but then they make up all these rules. Like, this is why I don't eat, I'm a vegan, I'm a vegetarian, or I only eat clean, I only eat organic. Dude, eat whatever you want to eat. Eat whatever your body's telling you, yes, that's how I'm designed to function, and do that. But it's not what you're eating and drinking that's actually making you more ascended, making you more holy, making you more saintly, making you more spiritual. It's what you're eating, yes, through your eye gate and your ear gate. What are you feeding your soul? Because that's what's going to come out. That actually what makes you healthy. Mindset is how I ended up losing 24 pounds so far this year. And I'm over 50 and perimenopausal. It's how I met the amazing man that I've been with. It's how I fixed the relationship between me and my children and I. It's how I run the business. Mindset first. You are better off working on your mind first for a long period of time, as long as it needs to, before you do anything until you get that inspired action. You shouldn't be working from inspiration. Well, you have been working from inspiration, and look at the mess. So when you try something new, jot it down. What are the circumstances? What are the thoughts that are coming up? What are the feelings behind that? What are the actions around that? What have been the results? And then put down the circumstance again. What are the thoughts you want to, what is the one thought that you want to have? What is the feeling from that thought that you want to feel? You can even stop there, because the actions of what you need to do the how will show up. That's the actions. It'll show up. But get the first three pieces right. And then you want to embed the thought. How do you embed the thought? And we'll end with this. There's a lot of different ways to do that. Self-hypnosis, hypnosis, guided meditations, writing it down, vision boards, visual boards, muttering to yourself, right? Imagining yourself, right? Using those things that you already created, EFTs. There's a lot of different ways, but the first thing is choice. Make a decision that's the new thought. That's your plumb line. That's the thought you're taking. So when an erroneous thought comes up, to go after it. And I talked about the 4 stages of manifestation yesterday. I will go ahead and link that below. Also, the monetize your reason for being, for those who are curious, to make it easy for you, because I like easy too. Just tell me where it's at. Don't make me look. So yeah, those things to embed, but it's a decision. Because when the thoughts come up, again, your brain is going to be looking at the easier thought. But, right, the critical thinker kicks in. You're like, nope. Well, this happened before, and you tried all these things, and it didn't work before, right? Because I was a different person then. I didn't make the choices I'm making now, and this is what I choose for me. Is it really that simple? Yep. Do this for 21 days. Just don't focus. And I was working with a client earlier, and there's a lot going on in her life. And I was like, you're all over the place. There's too many things. Choose one area. Let's focus on one area. And then we kind of narrowed it down to where she needed to focus. She's like, I just want one thought. And I was like, yeah, this is the thought that's actually going to fix everything. If there's a lot of things, what is the one thought for you to take that will fix everything for you? That if you can just really own and embed and embody, that's really what you're doing, embodying that thought. What is the domino effect for that? Keep it simple. The first words that come up is probably it. As they come up, you're like, ooh, how do I feel about that? Yes. If it's yeah, yes, then run with that. Start with that first. What if it's the wrong thought? You're already thinking the wrong thoughts. And if you're going to think a better thought, that's still the better thought than the wrong thought you were thinking. So it's okay. Have some grace for yourself. Keep it simple. It's really simple. I promise you it is. What you're doing is not working. You might as well do this and stick to it for 21 days. The time is going to pass anyway, and things might just get worse if you don't do something. And that's why you're still here. I love you very much. And again, if you need help, you know what to do, or look down there. Until next time, which will be very, very soon, may God's riches and best be yours. Bye, my loves.